Това е тема вдъхновена от книгата Logic and Argument на един философ от Оксфорд, който може би моят студент колегата Владо Маринов си спомня, когато той беше в София преди много години, професор Кристофър Къруан. Той е популярен като преводач на книга Делта от метафизика на Аристотел, но също така има една не лоша книга, посветена на философската логика. Затова избрах да говоря точно на тази конференция за книгата на професор Кърлан и за тази част от нея, която се нарича Using a Logical Calculus. Надявам се, че нямате нищо против да премина на английски. Okay, shortly to resume how logic can be used for testing what is called validity, and for the author, this is the correctness of the argument. Fulfillment or no fulfillment of the argument is what he observes in this chapter. So an argument for Christopher Kerwin is correct if it is an instance in some logical language of sequence that is derivable in some system that is sound in that language. The key words here are correct, instance, sound, and valid. Logic represented in this chapter applies to symbolic logic, formal logic, and mathematical logic. First, Aristotle's symbolistic covers only a part of the subject, and Stoic logicians first explored what William Neil after called primary logic, systematized in the propositional calculus. This is syllogistics versus predicate calculus. In his book Logic and Argument, Kerwin is inspired by Frege, Peano, Russell, and Lewis, and many others logicians, but he also introduces a vocabulary of logical languages. So, he introduces the term schematic letters, sentences that he calls schemata, and schematic letters. If P, then Q, so if not Q, then not P. This is what he calls a uniform replacement of gaps. You know, sentences with gaps, and instead of gaps, he puts letters, calling them uniform replacement. The sentences are indicative sentences or statements. The predicate, what is left over when one or more subjects are removed from a sentence. They are defined by role, not by form, which is very important. The subjects and predicates are expressions rather than things, properties or relations indicated by expressions. For example, believe that God is dead and believe in God is dead. They both end with the same three words in the same order, but only in the former do those words function as a sentence. Or another example, poison Napoleon, poison ivy, and poison kills. The same shape for all the sentences, but only in the last, the initial word functions as a subject. So here he introduces prepositional letters, subject letters, and predicate letters to illustrate all types of sentences with symbols. Variables, linkage letters, index letters, and open schema. X loves A because it contains variables and schematic letters. Demi-letters, alternative to logical calculi and schematic letters, connectives, formulae, and sequence. The row of formation rows, the row of interpretation rows, and row of derivation rows are discussed after. So, formation rows plus interpretation rows make a logical language. And this is what he draws in the book as a development for the thinkers before him. The logical languages differ from natural languages in being invented and symbolic. So using a logical calculus, modern developments make it profitable to revive the ancient and medieval ambition of using logic to test and display the correctness and incorrectness of arguments. Linguists increasingly look to logical languages, especially in the AI era, for illumination of the far greater complexities in natural languages. Truth and correctness. Logic is a universal tool, but arguments are the subject matter, and yet logic deals with only one feature of the argument, called correctness, or the deductive kind of it. Premise and conclusion. They are considered as correct, and valid is considered as deductively correct, and sound is replaced often with correct and having true premises. The argument, the key word in the book. The correctness of an argument is independent of its having true premises, but no correct argument combines all true premises with an untrue conclusion. Napoleon was French, all Frenchmen are Europeans, so Hitler was Austrian. True premises with an untrue conclusion are called offending combinations. And yet deductive correctness. An argument is correct if, but only if, it is deductively correct. Its premises entail its correctness. Today is Monday, so tomorrow will be Tuesday. Necessity, like impossibility, are understood as logical absolute here. Anything true of necessity is called necessary truth. And the criterion he introduces, an argument is deductively correct if and only if its premises strictly imply its conclusion. For example, of necessity is not the case that its premises are all true and its conclusion untrue. The validity of languages having a valid form ensures deductive correctness. An inference schema is valid when all its instances avoid the offending combinations of true premises with an untrue conclusion. Validity shared avoidance, another expression he introduces, shared avoidance of the offending combinations. Deductive correctness requires necessary avoidance. This necessary avoidance, we might add. And here, just to illustrate sentences versus schemata, Eugene is unmarried, so Eugene is not married. There are old men in London, so some men in London are old. All bishops are clergymen, so red-headed bishops are red-headed clergymen. Homo est animal, Socrates est homo, ergo Socrates est animal. And here you see the same sentences illustrated by the symbolic letters Curwen introduces. The power of logic. The material condition corresponding to an argument is a logical truth if for at least one logical language L, it is an L instance of at least one formula which is derivable in at least one L sound formula system. The logical truth is an argument having a valid form, and it is also, for some logical language L, an O instance of an L valid formula. So what is using ecological calculus? The logician increases the number of errors and confusions into which it is possible to fall. This is his purpose and task. He also makes it easier for thinkers to avoid errors and confusions once they have mastered the skills involved in the logical treatise. Often, when the argument is difficult or disputed, it is a matter for judgment in each particular case. Thank you for your attention. Благодаря ви за вниманието.